what do I do if the owner is the bottleneck? And listen, no judgment zone. I am the bottleneck for plenty of things, but it doesn't have to be that way. It's a little bit of the art of delegating up and helping the owner understand that they are the bottleneck and give them a solution of how you can take that off their plate, or what are the 1 or 2 things that you need from them so you can keep doing the job. So here's a couple of examples. Number 1, I have no problem if a team member comes to me and says, hey, Kristen, I know you've been meaning to get to this, but I really need these 2 items so I can finish doing my job. I'm not offended by that. I know I'm the bottleneck, but I'm recognizing now that I'm preventing them from getting an A on their scorecard, right? So then they say, if you could just dictate on these 2 items, just spend 3 minutes telling me how you want it done, then they can take and run with it. So that's tip number 1. Take the time to just ask them and say, if I could just get 3 minutes, just quickly describe what it is you want and that you can take it and run with it. Tip number 2. Sometimes we can go to an admin or someone else that's been on the team for a really long time and ask them. Maybe they can actually take that off the plate and do it because they know how it runs. They know what needs to happen. So don't always think of the owner being the one that has to be that source of information. Sometimes we can just go to someone else and you can say to the owner, hey, I know you've been meaning to get to this, but I was thinking, so-and-so's been on the team for a very long time. Would they be able to solve this with me? Could I go work with them on it? Listen, I am not offended when my team tells me this, right? I say, go for it. It's off my plate. And they can now get going again. Tip number 3, identify, can you take a stab at it and just start building it? Now, I never want to see my team have to reinvent the wheel or waste a bunch of extra time doing things, but sometimes they need to. I am the bottleneck. So take the time to think, can you start the project? Then go to the owner and say, hey, I started this, but I still am stuck. I need just a few minutes of your time. Or maybe you need 30 minutes or 45 minutes of their time. But be honest, be clear, and let them know your goal is to get that end thing done. That's the big part to this. So do your best to help support the owners, the admins, and get things off their plate and relieve some of that bottleneck that happens all the time.